In this video, we're going to talk about Visage or Visage and answer the question, is Visage too scary? Before we get into it, this is a video to help you decide if you want to play it for yourself or do you want to just watch someone play it. If that's the case, here's the first chapter to our playthrough. In 2014, the PT demo came out and instantly increased the sales of diapers. I didn't get to play it, but from what I saw, I would argue that it leveled up psychological horror in video games. I mean, look at Resident Evil Village. You can't tell me that's not a little bit of inspiration. The reason why I brought that up is because a lot of people were comparing Visage to PT, which in my opinion is a tall order, especially for a new and inexperienced studio like Sadsquare. Sadsquare Studio is a small Canadian studio that formed in 2015. For the size of this group, they really pack a punch. That baby really shows the level of their talent. Visage was actually a Kickstarter funded project. They started their goal at like 35,000 and ended up with well over 100K. The marketing material was beautiful and eye-catching, and the gameplay footage that they showed really made it an easy sell. From what I could see, they're not noobs to horror. They really put an emphasis on making Visage a true psychological horror and not just a series of jump scares. In my opinion, those tend to be the scariest of games. Big namer Hollow titled his Let's Play, "No game should ever be this scary." That leads me into the meat and potatoes of this video. What makes Visage so scary? I'm not an expert to horror, but I've been watching and playing this stuff and been a huge fan of it since I was very young. 8 years old, I had a VHS mixtape of Ninja Turtles and Friday the 13th. It's no secret there are some common elements to horror and what works. These guys take these common elements and use them very well. Like any movie or game, you have to set the stage. You have to spark the imagination, let people kind of run with their thoughts and come up with their own theories of what's going on. They started all this with the marketing. I mean, the girl with the black goo, the footage they decided to share, the verbiage that they wrote on their Kickstarter. Part of setting the stage is a well-delivered hook, and they do this by planting a seed in the very beginning with a very disturbing scene, which is obviously a great way to hook your audience. It's to really tell people, we ain't f***ing around. Smash cut to you waking up in a small quaint house, which at first seems pretty normal. But before you get comfortable, you start to hear ominous creaks and sounds, which really starts to build up a lot of tension. You know that you're playing a scary game, so you start to wonder, what's the deal? As you explore, they start giving you tips on how to play the game. The main mechanic is your sanity meter. The longer you stay in the dark, the more stressed out you get, the more your sanity decreases, and the more likely you are to see paranormal activities. The only way you can combat this is with lighting candles, turning on lights, taking your pills. Pills are good. So as you continue to explore the house and find keys and find things that you need, you just are full of doubt and worry. The tension is just so high, you're just waiting for something to happen, right? So they're really good at doing that, which leads me to my next point. Fear of the unknown is very commonly used in movies and games to create suspense. Sadsquare does not use this sparingly. Sometimes they drive up the tension so high, and then when you're expecting something, they leave you with nothing. Darkness is part of the core mechanics, so a lot of the house is just dark, and some of it is pitch black. You cannot see. They combine that with horrifying sounds, very realistic, especially with headphones, like the grudge sound that knocks, creaks, slamming of doors, the light switch going up and down, just crazy. The worst part is that they tactfully hint at what is in the darkness, and with good timing, they push you in. You gotta go. They wrap all this stuff up in a cute little home that shape shifts and changes and keeps messing with you like it's this living thing. The house kind of feels like it's the culprit to all these horrible things, similar to like The Shining or Amityville Horror. Each section can seem a little long in the tooth, but they do break it up with these unforgettable, beautifully done moments. The setting, the fear of the dark, the content is scary, but there are things along the way that are not scary. And that leads me to the next section. Like all games, there are moments and issues that break the immersion, that pulls you and disconnects you from the game. That happens to everybody. Most of the ones that I found were technical stuff like character models and voice acting, bugs, and drawn out moments of nothing. With indie games, like I love indie games. I follow the developers. I go on their development blogs and I root for them. Some of the best ideas come out of indie studios, but there is an indie game feel.
It's the smell.
It's just something that you can't avoid. They just don't have the big push like some of these AAA titles do that end up squandering it anyways, right? So for the bugs, I mean, there's flickering of character models, getting stuck in weird and odd places, falling through the entire map, being still tormented by the sounds, by the way. Sometimes when you're running, it would stutter and stop, and so then you'd slow down. I mean, that kind of added to the fear factor, but it sucked. The controller scheme was obviously meant for a PC, and so that was a really hard thing to figure out with the controller. I was constantly dropping candles and just getting pissed off. Some of the animations were really goofy. Character models, I mean, you have to have balls to pull a character model right to the face of the viewer, because then they can see all the flaws. You can see that in Resident Evil 7 when like Marguerite jumps in your face. It's like, that's scary, but at the same time it looks corny. It's all plasticky and weird. So, and then of course the voice acting. I mean, it is difficult to have great voice acting. A lot of really good games have some corny voice acting, so I won't give them that much crap for that. That's all that I've seen. If there's some other ones, some funny ones, leave them down in the comments. I would love to read them and talk about them. I wish I could tell you if it was too scary. I can't tell you that it was illegally too scary. It's not going to give someone a heart attack, in my opinion. I don't know. Because I don't know, I started to ask some people around the block. Tamale Bay. She is a Twitch streamer. Her link is down in the description. Please go check her out. She's freaking awesome. But what she said when she played it is that, yeah, it was a little too scary for her. Like, she did not prefer not being able to defend yourself like a Resident Evil game. Yeah, there's fear and there's monsters, but you got guns, you got weapons. Also, the controller scheme did not translate over well from PC, like I had mentioned. I also read some reviews on Metacritic and things like that. A lot of the user side tend to have issues with it because of either bugs or it being too difficult, because there's only one difficulty. The controls being too weird and finicky and clunky. Then on the critic side, a lot of people loved it. They love what they were trying to do. And I think that's the main thing, is that people felt the Konami PT vibe. They felt the vibes from like Paranormal Activities or, you know, Blair Witch, that realistic feel. From talking to some friends and reading the critics and reading the reviews, the overall consensus is very damn scary. I don't know, I would say 60-40. 60% too scary and 40% not that scary. Like a wise old man once told me, nothing is too scary. For me, it would be the opposite, because I don't really get affected by it so much. In the moment, yes, but not necessarily after the fact. I don't have nightmares. Liar! It doesn't disrupt my entire life, so it's just something that I'm into. One thing I think is interesting about the scary stuff and the horror and all the stuff that we like to seek out is that people like to live death and danger vicariously. We're freaking weird, man. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that gives you some insight on the game if you want to play it. Maybe you don't want to play it. If you want to watch it, obviously you can watch our playthrough. Also, if you're here, please explore our videos. If it's stuff that you like, consider subscribing. Obviously, if you like this video, thumbs up. If you want to talk to us, we have a Discord. So if you go to isitthreadyet.net, there's a link in there. Twitch.tv/isitthreadyet0, Instagram, all that stuff, whatever it takes. You know how to get there. If you want to, say what's up. So yeah, again, that is it.
See you next time, mother trucker.